Hey guys, DC here with another weld video. Today we'll be testing out the Yeswelder Flux-135 on a few different size steel plate. We will be running this machine off a 6500 watt Predator generator by Harbor Freight and see how it performs. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. I try and upload videos of all my welding knowledge I've picked up over the years and share with new upcoming welders and also experienced ones. Thank you and hope you enjoy the video. I'm sure the first thought that comes to mind is if I can run this off my house power. I'm sure you can, but I doubt you will get the machine's full potential, especially at higher amperage. That and your electricity bill will come out pretty high. So today we'll be using my 6500 watt generator. I know some of you have questioned on what size generator you would need, and for this 110 welder, I think 6500 watts is a bit overkill. You can easily run this off a 3500 watt, but anything lower than that, I could not honestly tell you. In the future, I'll try and get a smaller generator and see how it holds up. For material, I'll be using 3/16, 1/4, and 3/8 inch steel plate. Here's a little side tip. I'm using an 1/8 inch thick cutoff wheel to knock off rust and mill skill more easily. This even works well with paint. These cutoff wheels are a bit more thicker than your typical cutoff wheel and are less likely to blow up when trying to grind with it rather than cut. Nonetheless, always use face protection and at least safety glasses, if not a full face shield. Don't try this with thinner cutoff wheels because they will blow up. Also, they tend to dig into material real good, so don't use it on any project you don't want any grind marks to show in the final finish. One other side tip and recommendation is this Anbull portable and stationary bandsaw. With a good blade, this saw runs like a dream. I believe every upcoming fabricator should have one of these in their tool arsenal. They're a little less pricey than the Milwaukee and DeWalt bandsaws, and like I said, it's stationary and portable. This is my go-to cutter, and I never leave for a side job without it. Now let's get our welder set up. The Flux-135 has 4 different settings, and I currently have it set up for 030 Fluxcore wire. The next setting is for thicker 035 Fluxcore wire. The third setting is MMA, which stands for manual metal arc welding, aka stick welding. The final setting is lift TIG welding. Lift meaning you have to touch tungsten to material to get the arc started. To select desired setting, match the corresponding green light to match the same position of setting label. I'm using 030 Fluxcore wire from Harbor Freight. A good way to figure out your desired amperage or voltage is with your tack welds, or obviously on a separate piece of scrap metal. Or if you're like me, max it out and find out. Let's get some welding done. I'm going to start off by tacking our steel plates into typical T-joints. After my first couple tacks, I turn the machine down to 3.5 and 125 wire speed. My one concern with this machine is that I can't figure out what the numbers for the power setting identify in amperage or voltage. All I know is that 5.0 is max and negative 5.0 is minimum. If anyone would like to enlighten us in the comments and honestly knows the answer, please do so. My best guess is that max would be somewhere around 13 to 15 volts based off MIG machines I've ran in the past. And if you're like me, the instruction manual is buried somewhere in the trash dump, never to be seen again. We're going to start off by welding our 3/16 inch plate. I turn my machine back up to 4.0 and 130 wire speed. The first tip I like to share is if there's slag, you drag. Fluxcore tends to leave a lot of flux deposition, so you want to try your best to leave that stuff behind your weld puddle. When welding, Fluxcore wire stick out is key. One thing you want to remember is the longer your stick out, the less heat that goes into your puddle. The shorter your stick out, the more heat that goes into your puddle, and can also lead to a more sporadic weld, or arc. Typically, you want to start at a short stick out, and once you see your puddle form, lengthen your stick out to 1 inch or maybe more. This welder had no problem welding through 3/16 inch material. It ran smooth and strong the whole length of the weld. Towards the end of your weld, you want to increase the stick out to lessen the chance of burning off your edges. The one thing that sucks about Fluxcore is the spatter you get around your weld, your material, your work table, and basically everything in its reach. Most welders like using anti-spatter spray, but I hate that stuff. Don't know why, I just hate it. As you can see, we have a nice uniform weld. Looks like it penetrated pretty well. The only hard part is taking off the slag, but nonetheless, it ran well and I'm happy with the results so far. Next up is our 1/4" material. For this, I turned up my machine to 4.5 and 135 wire speed. Once again, if there's slag, you drag. I start off with a short stick out about 1/4" and work my way out to about 1" as a puddle forms. One tip I like to share with new upcoming welders is don't rely on those dumb weld patterns they show you in welding textbooks. Instead, learn to read your puddle. You'll find out that all welding processes are the same if you learn to read your puddle. Your puddle will tell you if you need more heat or more material. Your puddle will tell you if you're at a wrong angle or using the wrong size rod. You will definitely not use the same pattern you use for vertical on overhead. So many damn ridiculous patterns, it makes me question if it's even an actual welder writing these textbooks. Learn to manipulate your puddle and you can master every weld process. And to learn that, you need 3 things: practice, practice, and failure. Crank your machine all the way up and see what happens. Crank your machine all the way down and see what happens. Try putting your practice plate in every position you could think of. And don't be afraid to fuck shit up. I can honestly say I messed up thousands of dollars worth of projects and material throughout my welding career, and I do it all over again just for the experience and knowledge. There will always be work for welders willing to learn and accept new ideas. You gotta throw away the idea of a finish line and go past your boundaries. 1/4" material, no problem. Looking good so far. Our final material will be this 3/8" plate. Now for something structurally dependent on the weld formations, I would not recommend to weld this out with a 110 Fluxcore welder. For 3/8" material, I would weld this out with my 220 gas MIG welder, just to be safe. But for the purpose of this video, I'm doing it to test the performance of this machine. As you can see, at the start of the weld, it kind of struggles to start an arc. Throughout the weld, I'm constantly having to reduce my stick out to keep the puddle stable and uniform. At this point, my machine is turned up to max power and max wire speed. In the end, it still performed well, but as for the strength of the bond for the 2 plates, I could not honestly say, without doing some non-destructive test or bend test. I don't have that type of equipment to test these plates, but what I can say is don't weld any heavy load-bearing projects above 3/8 thick with a 110 Fluxcore welder, especially if lives depend on it. Always think to yourself before you weld, will I endanger someone's health or life if my welds fail? Nonetheless, this was a good experiment and learning process for me. I'm happy with the results and would gladly recommend this welder to any new fabricator or upcoming welder. This is a good welder for at-home projects or maybe if you just want to start learning how to weld. If for any reason you are going to weld something above 3/8 thick, I would recommend a little preheating before welding, if you're able to. Adding too much heat can sometimes compromise the strength or quality of the weld and or distort the shape or measurements of a project. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Any info you think I missed or questions you might have, please leave a comment below and I'll reply as soon as I can. If you like this video, please drop a like and consider subscribing for more future videos. Apart from my YouTube channel, I design and make my own merch for my other businesses, Down and Dirty Welders, fish scale keychains and bottle openers, and pretty soon I'll be making merch for my mobile welding business, Andrade Metalworks. Your support would be greatly appreciated. If you'd like to personally support this channel and help it grow, please consider making a donation following my PayPal link below. Thank you guys again for watching. Until next time, peace.